What is going on, guys? Welcome back into Rover Sports, and I'm going to review the Giants draft class. It is the Monday after the NFL draft, and I am exhausted just from a long weekend, the process of the NFL draft, and I want to thank you guys for watching the coverage. So the New York Giants. Let's review what they did in the NFL draft, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion on each and every one of their selections. So number one, the Giants went out there and they drafted Andrew Thomas at number 4. And I trust what Joe Judge said in his press conference, because Joe Judge said in his press conference that he didn't want independent contractors. He didn't like comparisons. And something that was interesting was Simmons was interviewed by Stephen A. because it was either Simmons or an offensive lineman. And Simmons on First Take said he's the next Sean Taylor. He's worth the value of 3 people. And maybe the Joe Judge, all of that talk, maybe irritated Joe Judge. Just my opinion on the matter. The Giants get Andrew Thomas. They get the offensive tackle out of Georgia. The second guy that the Giants selected is they get Xavier Mckinney. And I was thinking it would be Antoine Winfield. I was thinking it would be Zach Bond at number 36. But Xavier McKinney gives you the versatility to come down in the box and hit. He gives you some pop to that secondary. And he's a guy that is one of Nick Saban's favorite players. So he has that upside. And he also has Xavier McKinney has high character. He's very good in coverage. And he's a guy that can come down and stick you. And safeties are just a position that is getting taken later in the NFL. So many people are taking corners and not many people are taking safeties. But McKinney is a chess piece that the Giants can really use in that secondary. So let's talk about how McKinney now fits into this defense, but I kind of want to go over the entire draft class. 3rd round, I was excited. I thought it could have been Curtis Weaver out of Boise State. That's a kid that ended up going a lot later. He probably had some character concerns, or he probably, I don't know why Weaver went this late in the draft. He went like in the 5th round to the Dolphins. He was a guy that popped on tape. So I thought the Giants were maybe going edge rusher. Maybe another cornerback. So the Giants decide in the 3rd round that they are going to go with Matt Pert. And Matt Pert is a kid out of Connecticut. And the thing about Pert that is really exciting about this Matt Pert pick is at first I had no idea really who he was, because I'm not watching a lot of American Conference football. I'm not watching a lot of UConn on Saturdays. UConn has been one of the poorest programs in college football for really a long time. I forget who they had when they were decent. They actually made a Fiesta Bowl one year. But the thing is about Matt Pert is he grew up in New York, born in Jamaica. Then he lived in, I think, either Brooklyn or the Bronx. He lived in one of the boroughs of New York. And this guy just lights up a room. This guy has a magnetic kind of character to him. He does. He's smiling. He's super engaging. And he grew up a Giants fan. And I know I'm talking about the guy's personality, but I'm a little different than most, because when I look at a player, I go to see the guy's interview. I want to see how the guy interacts. I want to see the personality of the pick that the Giants are receiving. And Matt Pert is just very energetic, loves the Giants, is always smiling, and he's just going to elevate this team. And Matt Pert, when I watched him on tape, because some of the cut-ups on YouTube, you see him versus South Florida, you see him versus some of these other teams. When you watch Matt Pert, he is a very good pass protector. Very good at sliding his feet. He has a huge frame. So the guy is really good in pass protection. In terms of maybe pulling, he's not maybe the quickest in terms of pulling. There's a reason he was a 3rd rounder. I think it's because he is kind of big. And maybe in run blocking, he doesn't use his leverage that well in terms of moving people. But now the Giants have Nate Solder. You also have Kevin Gates, who's a very versatile guy. And now you've Matt Pert, Andrew Thomas. Pert and Thomas, they are supposed to be your left tackle and right tackle of the future. But Pert, after watching, I really enjoyed the pick even more, and I think Pert has a future in this league. We go now to the 4th round, and this was one of the maybe real surprising picks in the draft. I'm trying to think about who was left in the 4th round. You had the kid from Wisconsin that the Cowboys ended up taking, the center Tyler Breidis. You had him right there in the 4th. I thought the Giants were maybe going to go with the center. So the Giants, in the 4th round, they end up taking Darnay Holmes. This is another cornerback to add to the room of Sam Beal, DeAndre Baker, Julian Love. It's another slot corner. You have Julian Love, Jabril Peppers, Xavier McKinney, all in your secondary. And Darnay Holmes is a kid that graduated in 2.5 years from college. You look at who the Giants selected or who the Giants have brought in this offseason. You got to be really smart to play in Joe Judge's system, and I like that. And Darnay Holmes is just really astute, really intelligent, and at 5'9", he's super competitive. So if the Cowboys are going to trot out like Tavon Austin, who has a lot of speed, Darnay Holmes is going to match up with them. You know, a Randall Cobb in the slot. A guy like, if you're playing the Denver Broncos, the kid KJ Hamler. You would put Darnay Holmes on that super speed, fast slot guy. Even Tyreek Hill, if Tyreek Hill is lining up in the slot, you can have Darnay Holmes there. So he's a chess piece in the modern NFL. The Giants defense needed to get faster in the secondary. They add McKinney, and then you have Darnay Holmes. And once again, this guy's a special kid, graduated in 2.5 years from UCLA. So again, I absolutely love that from the character aspect. So I think he's a great kid to bring into the locker room, and he's going to be smart, and he's going to understand the schemes of the Giants and of Henderson's secondary. So they select Holmes. Then you look at the 5th round, and maybe people are thinking that the Cowboys jumped in front of the Giants for Breidis. I think if the Giants wanted the center, they would have ended up, maybe making a move up to get him, because Breidis is like the last good center to leave. You had Hennessy, Lloyd Cushenberry, who I loved going to Denver, and Cesar Ruiz, of course, an interior guy. But the Giants end up then selecting Shane Lemieux. And I knew that Oregon's offensive line could run the football with Mario Cristobal. Shane Lemieux, once you hear the guy interviewed, you see why the Giants pick him. He's nasty. He takes pride in being physical. He has a ton of energy to him, and he can pancake people. And he looks fast. He even looks faster than the kid that the Lions selected, Logan Sternberg. So this looks like a really good pick for the Giants in terms of a guard that can come in there and add depth. And then Kevin Zeitler, he has a very expensive contract. He's 30 years old. In 2 years, Kevin Zeitler might be gone, and Shane Lemieux can learn under Kevin Zeitler at the guard position. I thought that the guard was a position of strength. The center position, you have Pulley, Kevin Gates. I think his name is Kevin Gates. And then you're going to have Lemieux. Lemieux at the center position is going to compete. He's going to compete, and he might be, if he's able to snap the ball, he might be able to be the full-time center for the Giants. So it gives you offensive line versatility and depth. So after watching Lemieux and the pick, again, I just love the draft class. I guess I'm kind of now going to say it. I really like every player that the Giants are selecting with this class. I'm trying not to be a homer. I really am. Because this class, and I'm going to continue talking about it, but this class has a lot of versatility. This class is looking for deep players that really fit positions of need, that either help with special teams or that are just very versatile. And it's very similar to maybe a New England Patriots. Jerry Reese would select Evan Ingram. Jerry Reese, selected Landon Collins pretty high. That might have been his only good pick. But Jerry Reese also had a failure in Darian Thompson, a complete miss there. He tried to select Weston Richburg. He even went out there in the second round. And as much as I like Shepard, and I think Shepard's a good guy, I think Shepard, you could have maybe got a player of his caliber like in the 4th round. So Jerry Reese was all about flash. I think that the running back Wilson out of Virginia Tech, those are flash picks. And Gettleman is very different in how he's going about this. Pat Shermer, the thing about Pat Shermer is that Shermer, it felt like, was very aloof in this process. He just doesn't have the energy of Judge. Judge is a guy that doesn't leave a stone left unturned. He's not a guy looking for independent contractors, as he said. He's not a big fan of comparisons. And Joe Judge is so in tune to the college game. I mean, you can't compare James Betcher and Pat Shermer, which is old and a stale product, as Christy Entertainer would say. Stale Pat. The Giants now have Joe Judge. They have a ton of college coaches like the linebackers coach from Tennessee, Brett Bielema, who's been in the college game for a while, who was with the Patriots staff, Sean Spence, the defensive line coach. So these are really smart guys from different parts of the country. Patrick Graham's a Yale graduate, Ivy League kind of guy, along with Stanford people. So the Giants are loading up. Let's continue to go now to, I think, some really exciting picks that the Giants selected. So the Giants select Shane Lemieux. Also, I think that we have Carter Coughlin. That was selected, but we're going to go to our 6th-round pick, Cam Brown. This is a international player, born in Canada. He ends up going to Penn State, and Sean Spence was on James Franklin's staff there. Cam Brown, 6'5", so has a lot of length, and he can run. So this is a very raw player. He's very tall. That's why he went in the 6th round. He's inconsistent. There's a reason that now these guys are selected in the 6th round. This guy is not high production, but he has a high upside, good character like we talked about. And he's going to go into the Giants scheme. And this guy has a lot of height, and this is a great developmental player, I think, for the Giants to utilize. That's what you want in the 6th and 7th rounds. Then the Giants in the 7th round just have a bounty of picks. They end up getting Carter Coughlin. And I'm a Minnesota fan, and Carter Coughlin is an absolute beast. The guy gets after the quarterback, has an array of pass rushing moves. Incredible person that you're bringing into the Giants locker room as well. Just listen to Carter interviewed. Carter is a guy that is like a CEO type of personality. He can run a Fortune 500 company. So that's who the Giants are getting at the 7th round. And the really cool thing about the 7th round is you're going to see some connections now. Carter Coughlin and Ryan Connolly, they are boys. Carter Coughlin and Connolly grew up on the same block in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Connolly went to Minnesota. And Carter is a Minnesota guy. His entire family went to Minnesota. So, again, awesome connecting the dots. Then the Giants select. I might be getting the order confused. I don't want to look it up on the internet. I have a lot of broadband on there. Chris Williamson, a guy who was at Georgia. Then he went and played at Minnesota. Had a pretty decent year at Minnesota, too, playing in the secondary with Winfield. So he, again, knows Carter Coughlin because they're teammates, but Darius Slayton and Williamson, they're high school teammates. And Chris and Darius Slayton have known each other since they were 8 years old, 9 years old, playing Pop Warner football. He told this great story to Bob Papa that his team ended up upsetting Darius Slayton's team in Pee Wee championships. So Slayton and this guy, I mean, they go way back. They are lifelong friends. That they are bringing into the locker room, and that just warms my heart. That's an incredible story. You need in football, you need to be cohesive. It's not just all about talent, it's about cohesiveness. I know that some people will look back on this, and if the Giants are 6-10, 7-9, they'll say, oh, great, what did all those Stanford graduates do for you? But you can't have one member of a team just bringing everybody down, and that's why I think you've seen all the big trades, all the guys that the Giants have kind of gotten rid of that were kind of more worried. The team was in a lot of dysfunction. Even Collins, what he said about Dave Gettleman, Snacks Harrison, and his locker room antics at the very end, and then Odell Beckham Jr. The Giants then select the kid out of South Carolina. They selected another linebacker to then add to the linebacking core. The Giants then select a linebacker from South Carolina, and then they go late and they take a cornerback out of Georgia for Mr. Irrelevant. And before I go and I break down this roster, I also wanted to mention the Giants also select Benjamin Victor. And this is a guy that against Penn State had some huge plays. He's a big-time player. He's tall. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5", very shifty. I'm surprised he didn't get drafted. The Giants now select him. He's already excited to get to work. He's hitting up Daniel Jones and Benny Victor. The Giants have done pretty good with undrafted guys named Victor. So I'm really excited to see what Victor is going to bring to this team with Darius Slayton, a lot of tall wide receivers. Then the Giants get Corey Coleman. They could always get faster, I think, in the wide receiver room. But you have Tate, you have a lot of guys in the middle of the field, and then Evan Ingram. I'm very happy that they kept on Evan Ingram. All right, so overall, just getting Joe Judge, getting rid of Pat Shermer, and letting Dave Gettleman stay, even if Gettleman, and I want Gettleman to stay for a long time, even if this team goes 6 or 7 wins, the way that Gettleman has rebuilt the offensive line, taking Will Hernandez, Kevin Zeitler, Andrew Thomas. I know that he went out and got Nate Solder. He tried to, the Giants with stale Pat, they were all about patchwork, just throwing things together, and that's what Mike Remmers was all about. Mike Remmers was a guy that was old, coming off injuries. So Joe Judge is a lot more thorough. And Lewis needed Clark, and Dave Gettleman needed a partner in crime that could really hold up his end of the bargain, because I felt like Gettleman was just going through it all by himself. And I just look at this coaching staff. I'm so impressed by the people on the staff. You have Freddie, Jason Garrett, who are both head coaches. Bielema was a college head coach who had to do all the recruiting for the University of Arkansas. You have the strength and the linebackers coach from Tennessee, Sean Spence, like I talked about, Patrick Graham. The staff is just a group of heavy hitters. But now when you look at the entire roster, this is really going to get Giants fans excited. I'm going to break down now the Giants depth chart. So I'm going to eliminate a lot of these tabs. And again, my voice might not be synced up perfectly here to this process. So again, I'm going to read you now. I have to now look up, unfortunately. I have to look up the Giants. And when you look up the Giants in the roster, there's a whole group of players and people that you even forget about. So the Giants didn't address defensive tackle, but at the defensive tackle position, that's a position of strength because you have B.J. Hill, you have McIntosh you could play, Leonard Williams that the Giants went out there and traded for, and of course Dexter and Dalvin Tomlinson. So the Giants have Dexter, Dalvin, Leonard Williams, B.J. Hill, R.J. McIntosh. That's really solid in the middle of their defense. The Giants also acquired a player from the Tennessee Titans. The Giants acquired, what was his name? The Giants acquired a defensive tackle from the Tennessee Titans. Now you look at the Giants and in terms of their linebacking core and their pass rush. The Giants have Kyler Fackrell, the X-Man, Carter Coughlin. Who else do the Giants have? Lorenzo Carter that could also attack the quarterback. So there's a Cam Brown who could really attack the quarterback. So and then you have Ryan Connolly, Martinez, David Mayo. The Giants have about 7 or 8 linebackers that really can play. Now a lot of people might say quality over quantity, but the Giants are going to track out Blake probably at their middle linebacker position at the Mike. You also have Ryan Connolly that if he's healthy could certainly play, definitely a bit that you could use. Kyler Fackrell coming off of the edge with Carter Coughlin. You have the X-Man that'll be able to come off the edge. Cam Brown is going to be developed into a pass rusher. Tay Crowder from, I think you might have been, yes, Tay Crowder from South Carolina. Or no, TJ Brunson. And then Tate Crowder, I think, is a guy out of Georgia who's undersized. But the Giants just have a lot of darts at the dartboard. That's what I'm really trying to get at here. The Giants just have a ton of darts that you could throw. Carter Coughlin you'll throw. Kyler Fackrell. The X-Man. Lorenzo Carter. Cam Brown. T.J. Brunson. So the Giants, who else did it? I'm probably missing some guys. The X-Man, Lorenzo. Then they have Carter, Kyler Fackrell. The Giants actually have a lot of depth on this pass rushing unit. Cam Brown. They have about 5 guys that are going to be in state. They're going to have 5 guys that you could throw off the edge. Then the Giants have Julian Love, who is very good at blitzing in terms of stuffing the run. Jabril Peppers is a really good athlete that you could bring into the box that you could try to blitz. And then, of course, Xavier Mckinney could get after the passer as well. You look at Malcolm Jenkins, how powerful Jenkins was for the Philadelphia Eagles, and how Jenkins is a Pro Bowl stud player. Jenkins, hopefully McKinney can channel into some of that Malcolm Jenkins versatility that you look for in the run game. And that's what is so exciting about the Giants' pass rush is up front. You're going to have pressure from Dexter Lawrence. It's going to continue to get better. Leonard Williamson in a contract year is going to do a lot. It's going to have a lot of pressure on him. B.J. Hill, maybe he can bounce back, but Dalvin Tomlinson also a stud that's going to be on the field stopping the run. Xavier McKinney can stop the run. Blake Martinez can stop the run. You then add in Fackrell, Carter Coughlin, the X-Man Lorenzo Carter. You're going to have a lot of guys that you could rush the passer with. So there's a lot of darts the Giants are going to be throwing. They're not a big one-man team sort of on-paper defense. They are throwing darts at the dartboard here, and I love that. I mean, some games it's going to be one guy. It's like whack-a-mole on this Giants defense. People are going to be fresh. It's a platoon. You look at the greatest college basketball team ever. It was Kentucky in 2014. One of the greatest. I shouldn't say the greatest, but they had 2 lineups of 5 players. They had 2 starters, and that's what the Giants are. They're the platoon. They have 2 cavalry units that the Giants are going to be throwing into battle. Connolly, Carter Coughlin. I mean, this is going to be really exciting for the Giants. In the secondary, you absolutely have a ton of darts that you're throwing at the dartboard. Now, none of these guys have really balled out. I mean, Sam Beal is a guy that was selected as a third-round value. He has the height to play outside cornerback. He's competing with Baker. You then have Bradbury that you bring in. He should be your prized possession that you're looking to have an every-down player. Yeah, Grant Haley, not very good. So you're going to have Corey Ballantyne and Darnay Holmes battling for that slot. So you look now at the secondary. You're going to have Darnay Holmes, Corey Ballantyne, McKinney, Julian Love is the slot corner, Jabril Peppers, Baker, Sam Beal. You just have tons and tons of darts at the dartboard that the Giants are going to be putting into play. So this team is now suddenly a very deep team. And I said Kevin Gates, probably the rapper, but I think it's Nick Gates again. I'm sure you guys will correct me in the comment section. The Giants have Pert, Shane Lemieux. Giants are adding a ton of depth to this offensive line and to this football team. And there's a ton of darts. And unlike the Buffalo Bills, unlike teams like the Eagles, they didn't just waste their draft picks. They maneuvered around. They took advantage of the 7th round. And there's some guys in your fantasy league that will just take kickers late. Will take like Tim Tebow late in the draft just to screw around. Will take Manziel. I was one of those guys, and I was a crappy fantasy player, and I still am not that good at fantasy football. But the great players are taking the deep sleepers. They're taking the wide receivers late. They're staying focused late into the draft. And some teams I feel like are checking out during processes of the draft, but the Giants, it just seemed like every player had a purpose and they were dialed in. They even got Mr. Irrelevant. This is a team that was just foaming at the mouth for more depth. And I think that this draft class, guys, we're bringing high character guys, and I couldn't be more excited for this draft class. And again, like with this virus, like hopefully we could go back to a semblance of life. I want to see these guys play football. I want to see training camp. I want to go to training camp with Joe Judge and this team. I want to go back to MetLife. I want to go back to the Meadowlands. I want to go back to Giant Stadium. I shouldn't even call it MetLife. I want to call it Giant Stadium. I want to go back and I want to tailgate and I want to go watch some football. And I'm so excited to watch like the defensive game plans that this team is going to draw up, because every week the Giants are going to be like a different person. And we're going to be like, what is that word? We're going to be like camouflage out there in the desert. You're not going to be able to understand where we're coming from. We have a whole platoon. We have a whole bunch of guys that we're just throwing into the line of scrimmage. It's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be a war every single game with Joe Judge and this team. And we're not just relying on a couple of people. This is really a group effort. And I'm thoroughly excited, guys. And for Dave Gettleman, I really want to thank God that Dave Gettleman's still healthy. I understand the people that talked about Gettleman and talked about the mask, and at first it looked really weird, but then when you consider, the guy had to battle cancer, the guy has a lot of people working in his house. I really love Dave Gettleman, and I think that he's one of the heroes of the Giants. And every single draft that you get with Gettleman, I think that you should take advantage and hold up praise. And now with all these players coming into the mix for Dave Gettleman, we're really going to see the legacy of Gettleman. Even if the ownership really reacts in a terrible manner and just quickly fires Gettleman, which I really don't want to see happen. Gettleman, with this draft, with 3 drafts, has really had his imprint on the New York Giants going into the future. And the Giants fans, I mean, again, we'll see what happens on the field, so you don't want to jump the gun, but I am very thankful for the class. I'm excited to see it. And with this Joe Judge regime, hiring Joe Judge this offseason, it just seems right, and for the reasons I laid out, because of versatility, thoroughness with Joe Judge. So, again, this was a longer video, but I hope you guys will enjoy the video, because I wanted to just elaborate, and I just had a lot on my mind here with the New York Giants. So I want to thank you guys a lot for listening.